The AEM 21-768C cold air intake system is guaranteed to add horsepower and torque on the 2013 to 2015 Ford Fusion models with a 1.6L Ecoboost engine. It features a custom mandrel bent intake tube with a durable gunmetal gray powder coat finish, and it comes with a dry flow AEM performance air filter that is washable and reusable. Visit AEMintakes.com for a complete list of models this air intake fits. With the 21-768C cold air intake installed on a 2013 Ford Fusion with a 1.6L Ecoboost engine, AEM dyno testing showed an estimated power gain of 7 horsepower at 5,700 RPM and 9 foot-pounds of torque at 4,000 RPM. Actual results will vary depending on the condition of the vehicle, mileage, weather, and other variables. This AEM air intake system will add style, sound, and performance to your car. This intake comes with all the components needed for an easy installation, along with detailed installation instructions. The tools needed are shown. Start by turning off the ignition and disconnecting the negative battery cable. Remove the engine cover by pulling it up and out of the vehicle. Disconnect the electrical connector, the 2 wiring harness connectors, and the vent tube on the stock intake. Unlatch the 2 clips that secure the upper air box to the lower air box. Unclip the vent line from the stock intake. Loosen the hose clamp and remove the stock intake tube with the upper air box. Squeeze the vent connector to release it from the stock intake tube that leads to the turbo. Loosen and remove the engine cover stand and the nut. The engine cover stand will be reinstalled later. Loosen the hose clamp at the turbo compressor and remove the stock intake tube from the vehicle. Cut the metal band that secures the fitting to the vent hose. Then, remove the fitting from the hose. Remove the bolt securing the electrical sensor to the upper air box. The sensor will be reused later. Install the provided vent fitting into the AEM intake tube. Install the provided grommet and 90-degree vent fitting into the AEM intake tube. Install the electrical sensor that was removed previously into the AEM intake tube and secure it with the provided hardware. Install the rubber-mounted stud onto the engine. Install the edge trim onto the heat shield and trim if needed. Place the assembled heat shield into the vehicle's lower air box and secure with the factory clips. Place the 2 provided hose clamps onto the hump hose. Do not tighten them at this time. Install the hump hose onto the turbo compressor and tighten the clamp closest to the turbo. Install the provided spring clamp onto the vent line. With the hose clamp on the filter loosely, lower the filter into the lower air box. Install the AEM intake tube into the vehicle, aligning the tube with the hump hose and the bracket to the rubber bushing. Once proper alignment is achieved, install and tighten the provided washer and nut onto the rubber bushing, and tighten the hose clamp securing the AEM intake tube to the hump hose. Reconnect the vent line onto the AEM intake tube. Install the electrical connector back onto the sensor. Attach the filter to the AEM intake tube and secure it with the hose clamp. Slide the vent tube over the 90-degree fitting and secure it with the spring clamp provided. Reinstall the engine cover stand that was removed previously and reinstall the engine cover. Lastly, reconnect the vehicle's negative battery cable. Double check to make sure everything is tight and properly positioned before starting the vehicle, and check periodically for realignment, clearance, and tightening of all connections. Failure to follow the installation instructions or proper maintenance may void your warranty. AEM manufactures performance air intakes, dry flow air filters, and other performance products that are engineered to outperform. Visit AEMintakes.com to learn more or to search for products by vehicle, dimension, cross-reference, or even vehicle identification number.